All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, July 12th. It is 12 p.m. Pacific on the nose, and every Tuesday we do this call at the same time in the same place. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, and I'm the founder of the Notary Business Builder Advanced Notary Mastermind, and I'm here with the co-founder of NBB and GOAT, the GOAT, the greatest of all time in all things notary, Laura Biewer. Hey, Laura, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Always amazed that every Tuesday when I get on here to see how many people, carve this time out live, not just watch it after the fact. So glad you're here. If there's any chance you don't know me, I'm Laura Biewer, and I am the founder of Coach Me Laura to help notaries be confident and competent in what they do.
And if you want to learn more about Laura, get in her orbit, check out coachmelaura.com. If you want to check me out, check out notarycoach.com. All right, let's talk about today's call. TNT is like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, except we're on video, or most of us are on video right now, and we use the raise hand feature in Zoom. If you don't know where to find that, because it depends on your version, your device, and all that good stuff, just ask for some help in the chat, and you'll get all kinds of suggestions there. We have an amazing group of loving and supportive notaries that join us on this call every single week. Then once we call on you, please tell us what state you're in. That's really important. And then what we ask is that you get right down to it. Give us a couple sentences of context if we need it. Ask your question directly, and then hit mute and prepare to receive either the response from Laura or myself, or we might ask some probing questions. We might need some more information so we can have a conversation about that. We're going to try to get to as many questions as possible today. So just raise your hand and we'll kind of work our way through the list. You might hear something that sparks a question too. That is totally okay. And then at the end, make sure that you save the chat. Like I said, you're surrounded by loving and supportive notaries here. We all have experience and perspective in so many different areas, and that chat blows up with all kinds of great suggestions and advice. And as we go through today's call, I have just a few announcements of some cool upcoming events. I'll interject those a little bit as we go through. So let's jump in and take a look as Steely Dan slowly makes his way back to his seat.
Because he's first.
Dan Brewer is first.
Come on, Dan, you had your hand up.
That's okay. We'll skip over to Gloria and I'll come back to Dan. Okay. Gloria Holt, always a pleasure seeing you here. How can we help today?
Hi, how's everyone? I'm Gloria Holt from California. And my question is, I was researching escrow officers and I came across something that one of the escrow officers had posted on the website. It said both certified document signers and mobile notaries are certified by the state of California. However, a certified document signer also undergoes regular continuing education training specific to real estate transactions. Now, I never heard of certified document signer. Can you clarify?
Laura, have you heard of this?
No, I think they made it up. I've not heard it said that way. Mm-hmm. Bill, have you heard of it?
I have not. Now, I have heard in some other states similar things. This is usually just a company that has created their own certification and usually has a community surrounding it. So it's constant continuous improvement in education, but it's an in-house certification or a company certification. So they probably partnered or aligned themselves with this title company or that escrow officer and gave them the language to talk about it.
Well, interestingly, they specify that these are certified by the state of California. So
that's interesting.
Certified as a notary.
Yeah, but they designate both of them, separate the both of them. Both certified document signers and mobile notaries are certified by the state of California.
Yeah, they're both notaries who are certified or are commissioned by the state of California.
I'm gonna start using that term on my website then. Certified document signer.
Well, you might want to look into that.
Yeah, I have used another phrase before on my business card that said certified signing professional.
Yeah.
So we can make up things that convey what we're looking to convey and
Right.
be a conversation starter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Gloria, what I would just do, if somebody else is already using it, do your research before you hitch your wagon to it, right? Because you may not want to be associated.
Absolutely.
So, yep. Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great question. Man, there's all kinds of interesting things that pop up. Steely Dan Brewer in Oregon. Thanks for being here. How can we help today?
I had to raise my hand early. I have a signing in about 15 minutes. I have to leave, and I didn't want Ricky to lose that number. So, and if you're old enough to get that joke, then you know why I'm Steely Dan.
Oh boy.
So I got two questions. I think they're probably Laura questions. One of them came from listening to a TNT call, and it was kind of glazed over a couple of weeks ago, and I had to listen on the replay about using a date stamp. We had that question. Is that something I need to take out of my bag? I mean, I've been using it, and if somebody's struggling with the date, I offer to pull it out and let them use that for dates. Is that something is that something I shouldn't be doing? Is that bad practice?
So I can use the date stamp in my own certificate where it says on this date. I would not be offering it to the signer, mostly because I've had explicit instructions to make sure people put their own dates, date their own stuff. And to me, that's manually affixing the date along with manually affixing their own signature. So that's an opinion I'm giving you. I'm not stating any statute, but I would believe that lenders would want them to put their own date rather than using a stamp.
Okay.
I agree. And Dan, I think we even had a chance to talk about it on that TNT call, but there have been times where I've called a lender and asked them if it was acceptable to do so, and they all said no. I've never had anybody say, yeah, go ahead and stamp the date in there. They'll either pre-fill it or they're expecting it to be handwritten.
All right. I will change that particular process. My second question regards representative capacity. If somebody is going to be signing for somebody else for any reason, whether it's assigned as a proxy or they're going to be a power of attorney, do we want to see that documentation before we say that's cool? I mean, how do we make sure that Joe can sign for Mary?
Great question for Laura.
That is a great question. And I have like 3 or 4 different answers. The first one is to check your own state statute to see whether you're required, because there's only a half a dozen states that require looking at the documentation. So that's the first thing. If you're not required, the second thing is, why wouldn't you ask anyways? Because a notary can always ask, right? And so I would ask, do you have the paperwork that says you have this capacity, representative capacity? And then the third thing is that if they don't, then I would ask them to verbally acknowledge to me they have that capacity, and I'd be writing that down in my journal, that they acknowledge to me that they have that. So those would be the 3 layers I would look at.
I'm doing a lot of signings in the hospital right now, and we're having a few situations where they can't write, so they're asking somebody, and I'm asking them then, hey, can your niece sign for you, or whoever's there? And I get an affirmative yes. Is that sufficient for signing by proxy? My state allows signing by proxy.
Yeah, proxy's different than representative capacity. So let's make sure we keep those separate.
Okay.
Signing by proxy means that physically an impartial person is signing the name of the signer, right, by the proxy on the document. They're not representing the signer.
I see.
All right. So there's a difference.
Are they signing? Is she going to sign John Smith in her hand?
If she's signing by proxy, you would follow the rules of proxy that are in your statutes. There is a procedure. Typically, it looks something like John Smith. She would sign his name, but underneath it, there should be a phrase, signature affixed by so-and-so as proxy for John Smith. That's how I don't get to do it in California, but that's how I would see it when I look at other states that have that authority. And that's different than Susan Smith attorney in fact for John Smith. It's just, there's two really different things.
All right. Very well. Thank you.
Good question.
Right.
Okay,
Welcome.
guys, if you want to take your Tuesday Notary Titans experience to a whole other level, when you hear, and I see so many of you sitting at a space where you can do this, take out your notary handbook right now, your state statutes, your handbook, find out what are your proxy rules for your state. Right now, this is a chance to do it. You're probably gonna have to do it again because you're never gonna see it until next year and you're gonna go, oh crap, what's my proxy rules? But you're gonna know where to find it in your handbook. And then what are your rules for representative capacity? Laura just told you that there's 14 states that require that you see evidence of that representative capacity before you can allow that signing to proceed. Are you in one of those states? You get to answer that question for yourself right now. And if you want to blow up your chat with what you learned about your state, that's even better. That helps other people too.
Yeah.
Hazel Booth. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve.
I just wanted to say, I know it's not meeting week this week, so I can't say notarymasters.org for Toastmasters. So I won't say that this week, but next week I will talk all about our next upcoming meeting. So I won't say notarymasters.org today.
You won't say it at all. Notarymasters.org. You guys
Can't say that this week.
we can't say that this week because it's not happening, but it is happening next week. And we'll have Dan on. He'll talk a little bit about that too. Okay, Hazel Booth, thank you so much for being here. What state are you in and how can we help?
Well, hello. This is my first time attending TNT Live.
All right.
I'm in Washington State,
Awesome.
and I had somebody hit me up via email this morning wanting to know if I could come out and help her do the signing papers to close the house for her mom in Kansas. But it's kind of funny to me because the place she's working with is called UMB Financial, and they're like, maybe you know a notary who could help you, or your bank might provide this service. And the person tried to reach out to them to say, could you call me as a notary and schedule? Well, we're not sure if we're going to be able to schedule and when that's going to be. And I trust you, just pick somebody. It sounds a little weird. And I know I watched a video that talked about how litigious some of these estate things are, and I'm just questioning.
Yeah, excellent question, Hazel. So when it comes to these loan signing packages, this is actually pretty normal.
Yeah.
It's normal, but it's outside the regular channels that we see. But there are some banks, some title companies that just send the documents and say, find your own notary. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to facilitate it. They don't want the responsibility for it. So that's where they'll Google probably notary near me or notary signing agent near me, and your directory, signingagent.com profile may have popped up, or any of the other directors may have popped up, and that's how they found you. So
my other question with that was whether they're expecting to pay the going rate of 150 or more per signing, or are they thinking they're going to pay a rate to stamp one document as a notary? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of your job, is to set that expectation. So you have a conversation with them. Like, yeah, this is actually what I specialize in. I can help you facilitate an entire loan signing. I know those documents like the back of my hand, and we can set up an entire presentation for you. And then you can ask additional questions too. Do you know anything about the documents? Do you know how many notarizations? Do you know what time you'd like to meet? Do you have the paperwork electronically, or is it already printed out? You can find those types of questions out. You kind of get to set the tone for the entire thing. And then you can, when you have an idea of what the entire scope of the work is, as Laura says, you can quote your fee.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we were going to have a conversation. It just hasn't happened yet. And I kind of wanted an idea of whether this was like an above board thing, because like every week there's something new I'm learning. Oh, that's a new experience.
Yeah, definitely. Laura, what else would you add in there?
Well, one, I'd say sometimes you hear people call these as mailaways. I've heard that phrase when it's just been mailed away to the right to the signer. The other thing is what Bill's talking about is understanding what the scope is. If I can print them for them and I can walk them through them and then notarize what has to be notarized, then that to me is the bigger scope, the bigger job. that we have our training for. If they say, I've got the documents, I just have one of them that needs to be notarized, I think it's going to be hard for you then to say, well, but I can do all these other things when they don't need all these other things. So it's important to find it out up front, what the opportunity is there. And it'll be different every time. I've done a lot of these, and sometimes it's just, I charge the $15 because it was one document that needed my service. They already had everything they needed. They didn't need me to do anything else. And so my going rate, my travel and my stamp fee was all that was in that particular opportunity. But other times it's the whole deal.
Okay. Thank you very
Does
much.
that help, Hazel? All right, great. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to TNT.
Yes, I'm not going to be able to stay for the whole meeting today, but I was excited to get to join. Thank you.
Hold on, Laura, we have to mark her down. She didn't stay for the entire class.
Oh,
She didn't
yeah.
get credit for TNT.
It's on the list.
All right, thanks, Hazel. Pop in anytime you can. You're always welcome. Tammy in Arizona, thank you so much for being here. I know you're in Arizona. How can we help today?
Hi. All right. I have a few questions, mostly pertaining to a signing that I did yesterday, but I know everything was fine because it's already funded this morning. But sometimes I just get paranoid about the little things. For example, these signers, when I check their ID, well, not even when I check the IDs, a different situation. Okay, first question, go back to a signing I did on Saturday. The signatures on their IDs were different than the signatures that they put in my log. And I was like, well, these don't look the same. I said this out loud and they're like, oh, well, those signatures were on my ID from like 20 years ago when I got my license, and I've changed my signature since then. Unless anything seems fishy, any reason to question that or tell them that they need to sign in a way that matches their ID, or is that fine? Because I'm not going to tell them how to do their signature, that everything else looked the same, and I had no reason to believe that there was anything fishy going on. But does that ever come up at all?
Tammy, hold on right there. Just hold up, pause for just a second. You already asked a great question. I think this is perfect. And I think you handled it really well. Laura, you got a chance to talk about this the other day. What do you say?
Yeah, so yes, you're right. First of all, we can't tell them how to sign. That's the unauthorized practice of law. But what can we do? So one is we asked the question, you actually just stated it out loud so they heard you, and they had a plausible reason. Yeah, that's what it looked like 20 years ago. My next question would be, how have you been signing your documents? Have they looked like this? Because if you made them go back to match their ID, that may now look like something that doesn't belong. So that'd be the first concern I'd have with asking for that. The second thing is, if everything else is in alignment, the photo looks like them, you're at their home, everything looks good, then there's no need to go any further. They've given you a plausible reason. If you want to note it in your journal, you certainly can and might want to do that. And I'd move on.
Okay. And then kind of on the same thing, it's actually kind of funny. That question came up for the sellers of this property. And then I went and I signed the buyers of the property. One of the signers has 3 names, first name, and then last name. And then they just have kind of a character type of a signature. So no way to even identify a first, middle, or if there is that middle and last or not. Again, I can't tell them how to sign. And this lender didn't have any problem with that because that's how they sign their name.
How
Do
they
you ever
sign
see
their
anything
name.
come back on that, or kind of same scenario?
No, it's how they sign their name. Let's not get ourselves too tied up in what that looks like, because signatures are personal.
Right.
We all have our own way of how we represent what our name looks like printed, right?
Okay.
And so there are 2 different things here. I'm dealing with the printed name and I'm dealing with a signature, and the signature is whatever they say it is.
Okay.
And
I
if
just don't know
I
how-
say, does that include all the parts of your name I see printed on this document? And they say, yes, it does. I'm done.
Okay.
Move on.
Okay. Yes, and I am still new, and so I'm not knowing whatever may or may not come back. Somebody saying, oh, well, this person by this and this name, because it's just a scribble. I don't know. I'm sure overthinking it, but just wanted to kind of throw that out there and just kind of bounce that off. So.
Well, Tammy, here's the thing. Sometimes it does create an issue for the lender, but that's not necessarily your job or responsibility, right? So that's why I love seeing the signatures in the very beginning. If there's something weird, if it looks different than the ID or whatever, I can have that conversation up front and we can address it or not address it. But the reality is people who have those fancy signatures, there's a reason they did that. They don't want to sign 18 different names, right? They created this signature to get past that, and they're probably going to want to sign that way anyway. So you can just set the expectations, tell them what the lender wants, and they're going to do what they want to do anyway. And then make a note of your conversation in your journal. So if they come back, and this has happened, they'll come back and they'll say, hey, we wanted them to sign Elizabeth Marie Garden Smith all the way out. And I said, well, I had a conversation with them and they said that this is their legal signature and it matched their ID. So I went with it. If you want me to go back out again, that's going to be another signing.
Okay.
We fulfilled our role.
Okay. And then one more question I wanted to touch on, and I think this has been coming up with a lot of different conversations lately, hybrid certificates. For example, within this same signing that I was speaking to yesterday, I've got 3 examples in front of me here where it looks like they're hybrid documents, because where like at the beginning of the document, it says, you know, the buyer who being duly sworn did depose. And then in my signature block, though, it only says it's an acknowledgement. So how is that treated? Because there's 3 of them that say, you know, affiants duly sworn and deposed, but then in my signature block, it just says acknowledged.
Laura, what do you think?
Take that? Sure. So when we talk about hybrid certificates, that's different than a document. So let's make sure we have our terms, first of all, straight.
Okay.
So hybrid certificate would have acknowledged and sworn in the same signature, in the same notary block.
In the notary block. Okay.
Right. And what I'll tell you is that most of the states do not have a certificate that has both. Hawaii does, but most of them don't. So if in your state, and you're in Arizona, you don't have a hybrid certificate. So you would not be able to use one if you saw something like that. So that's what that's about. Now let's talk about your situation because it's different. What you're saying is you have 2 different notarial acts in a document. That's not a hybrid certificate.
Okay.
So you've got an oath at the top of the document. That's a notarial act. There is no specified wording or venue or anything else required with an oath. It is a verbal spoken statement of truthfulness. Then you have a certificate at the bottom for the acknowledgement. So you're performing 2 different acts for the document. And you may perform multiple acts on the same document. So you would acknowledge the signature at the bottom, and in your journal put you performed an acknowledgement, and then you'd have another notarial act, which is, and I performed an oath. Do you swear the contents of your document are truthful? So you have 2 different acts that happen to be for the same document. So does that make sense?
So are you saying that I would then need to like attach a jurat as well?
No, a jurat is not an oath. An oath does not have specific certificate language to it. It doesn't have to have its own certificate. You just need to administer it because it says duly sworn by you. So that was enough to tell you they need to swear the contents of the document are truthful. Then the acknowledgement is what's verifying the signature. A jurat does 2 things. It certifies the signature. We've already done that with the acknowledgement. And then there's the oath on top of it. They decided instead of putting a jurat, which would have done both, they did it this way. They put the oath in the document and they put the acknowledgement at the bottom.
Okay. So documentation wise, I don't have to do anything other than just, you know, notarize the acknowledgement piece, but
And administer the oath.
yeah. Okay.
Right. Administer the oath. But in the journal, you need to document you did 2 different notarial acts.
I see.
And you just had a whole boatload of changes in Arizona and they impacted the journal as well.
Yeah.
So make sure you're following that.
I think Tammy was there for our live call, but this is a great question, Tammy.
Yeah.
We run into this all the time.
Yeah.
So, and this is a really good question too about, you know, how to document that additional oath or just the difference between an oath. We always default to jurat because we see those all the time, but the oath is a separate act. So this is another way to level up your TNT experience is know all of the acts that you can perform in your state. Some states you have what? There's 7 or 8 of them, Laura, and then some of them there's 3. You know, so we get stuck on acknowledgements and jurats, but there's an array of other acts. So get out your statutes and list down all the different acts that you are legally allowed to perform in your state. And then eventually you'll get in the rhythm of that. So sometimes there's a solution to a problem. You ran into, you get stumped, you're like, oh, I can't move on from this. But now you have an act, like the certified tangible copy makes some things possible for us too. So thank you, Tammy, for bringing that to us. Did you have another question?
So one more I'll bring up on the US Patriot Act form, the USA Patriot Act form. This one also wanted a second form of ID, which is such a pain in the butt. And I was going down the list because they actually gave me a fairly decent list, but this particular signer, everything that he had, anything on the list, he didn't know where a social security card was, couldn't come up with a voter ID card, property tax bill. He's like, all of my utilities, all my bills are online. His Costco card, he didn't have his physical Costco card anymore. He uses his digital Costco card or his, Costco credit card, which we don't want to take a picture of that, of course, because it's got the credit card number on the front. So I guess, again, I think I'm overthinking this as well, but until I know, I don't know. How much do lenders get hung up on that? Tabitha is saying you don't have to take a picture of it. In my training, that's what I was told, to take a picture of it. So that's what I'm going on. And again, I'm still learning these things. Thank you for that, Tabitha.
So it's going to be dependent on the hiring company on whether or not you take the photograph. But a printout version of their online bill will work. It's literally anything with their name on it. So something in his wallet. Laura's favorite question I love hearing is, what's in your wallet? There's something in there with their name on it, and it can literally be anything with their name on it. And if it is a debit card or a credit card, you can block out those numbers, or you can just document it with the last 4 digits of the number. Laura, do you have any other suggestions on that?
Yeah, what you were just saying is there's usually the last 2 are other, where you can just write in what it is you
This one didn't have an other option, which was like,
I've really not seen one where I didn't have a chance to write other, write in what the other one is. But the other thing I was going to say is, for the Patriot Act, I do not have to get the photo of either ID, although a lot of times I've been asked to get a photo of the primary ID right up front. They didn't specify what it was for. It was for like the whole signing. So I wouldn't be worried about taking pictures of that. And like Bill said, oh my God, something's got to be in his wallet. He's got to have something on paper. Anything.
Yeah, again, I just didn't know. Because this was signing last night and it was funding today, I didn't want to, use something that wasn't going to be accepted by the lender. And funny enough story, I dropped these documents off in the overnight slot with my with my escrow officer. This was a direct escrow, and I told her to send me a secure email today so I could send her my pictures of the IDs and the second forms of ID, which she didn't, but she already sent everything to the lender and they funded it, so they didn't even need the IDs.
Right, but I will tell you that there's going to be plenty that are going to call you if you don't have the second one.
Mm-hmm.
That is just a missing piece.
All right, great job, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Great questions, great conversation. Real quick, I'll start interjecting some of the cool stuff that we've got coming up here. Guys, if you are on the Eastern Seaboard, or if you're even on the West Coast and you want to go east, Judy Lawrence, Lori Morgan, Matt Miller, organizing an incredible learning experience in Philadelphia, September 9th through the 11th. It's called the Philly Social, the Philly Notary Social. It's a combination of learning events and a tour of the city with the Rocky Steps and everything. I think tickets are about $177 plus your travel and hotel and those types of things, but there's going to be a tight knit group of people, maybe 50, 60 people. Cutoff for those tickets is coming up. It's July 31st. because we have to plan the buses and everything like that. If you are interested in going, please reserve that space right away. I'll put the link in the chat there. You can go to Philly Social 2022 to book your tickets right away too. All right. Oh, hey, Lori. Yeah, it's going to be informative and so much fun. Amazing speakers already lined up for that, including Laura, me, Jen Neitzel. Phil Shannon's going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a really good time. All right, Kara W., thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help. I was giving you some time to find that mute button. There it is.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, this is Kara Wilson from Buffalo, New York.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Laura. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I had a question. I'm doing a part-time contract job right now where all I do is sign affidavits for the company, because in New York, when you get an LLC, you have to do the articles of publication. So I'm signing those affidavits. How do I notate or track them? Like, I'm writing down how many I do a day. But how do I like put that in the journal or in Notary Gadget? Because Notary Gadget is like cutting me off at 127 for notarial acts. And I'm not even getting paid enough to qualify how many stamps that I'm doing. I'm only getting paid $50 a day. So I do it 3 days a week.
Okay, I think we got two different questions here. So let's table the bookkeeping question.
Yeah, the bookkeeping is the first one.
Well, I'm going to go back to the journaling one, because I think that's the big question. So
yeah,
Laura, do you want to address the journaling, how to document these?
So you're always going to hear me go back to, what does your state require? So Kara, does your state require you to record all notarial acts in your journal?
I believe so, yes. Because
Okay.
our stamp is $2 per stamp.
Right. So the fee separate from the record keeping part in your journal, if your state requires you to maintain a journal and they require you to notate every notarial act, and I would have to look at your statute specifically to see if there's any opportunity for shortcutting that. If it's the same signer, if they're all different signers, then you may not have.
No, it's the same person every week.
So
yeah,
still, I would have to look at your statutes to see if in New York, you're allowed to do shortcuts in your journal. If you were, then what you want to make sure that you're doing at minimum is that you've identified your signer, you've got his signature, and you've named the affidavit every single time. I wouldn't worry about the money part not being enough.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing that part.
$2, Kara, and this is something some notaries think when they're new, is it's not mandated to pay us $2. That's just the maximum per stamp we can take. All right. So that means that it can be less than $2. It can be free. It can be $1. And for those of you who are in other states, if it's states, if it's $10, it doesn't have to be 10. I don't have to do a package and say, well, you have to pay me $10 per notarization I perform. No, it's an up to number. It was a value pulled out of the air by that particular government. They said, yeah, $10 sounds good. Not like they went and figured out all our costs before they did that. So if you're not getting as much, and that happens in loan signings all the time, you have a few choices. Who is paying you? Is the company who contracted with you paying you, or is the signer paying you?
The company that contracted me.
So
it's a 6-week contract.
All right. So you could just put zeros and not worry about that in the journal. It's not your financial record for your business anyways. And now you would then look at, what is your bookkeeping? How are you keeping track of the money that you're taking in? And if you're using Notary Gadget, I use Notary Assist, so I don't know how Notary Gadget works and why they're cutting off. So I'm going to need somebody else to address that part of it. But that's where the money part would be. where you would put,
Okay.
I got $50 and I performed this many notarizations, and either it will do the math for you that says, okay,
Right.
they got 30 cents stamp, whatever it is. I
Right. Yeah,
that's
because
where that is.
yesterday I did 176 affidavits.
Uh-huh. For the same guy at one time?
Yes. Yep. 176 affidavits.
Yeah, $50 I don't think is very much money, but are you traveling to go do that?
Yes, a half an hour.
Hey, well,
It's
you
in
can charge
Williamsville,
travel.
New York.
You can charge travel in New York, right?
Yes, we can.
Not restricted.
But-
So where's that coming from? Are you getting 50 plus travel or just $50?
No, 50 per day. No. Mm-mm.
Well,
No.
yeah, all I can say, the questions you're asking are just about how to record things.
Right.
That's one answer, is you got to record it in your journal and don't worry about the money part. The other part
Okay.
is your bookkeeping and how you're going to record what you're getting. The third question I have is you might want to think about when you're accepting contract work, that the money is more commensurate with the amount of work. Because I
No,
can't.
I told them I only agreed to do it for the opportunity and because it's consistent income coming in bi-weekly.
Mhm.
That's the only reason. But I already told her it's not cost effective. I'm losing money just
And
by
yeah, you
going.
are.
Yeah, a whole lot of money because I'm only there for an hour or less sometimes. And I could be doing a loan signing, making more money.
Yeah, well, that's a negotiation skill. That's a different thing.
Right.
So let's just take care of the two that you came to us with. Bill, I don't know if you know Notary Gadget. I don't know how it records, why it cuts off at certain amounts. I can't say.
Yeah, I'm not sure unless it's the free version and you're not into the paid version
No,
yet.
I just did the paid.
Okay, so
and-
maybe that should
yeah.
open it up for you. Yeah.
Cause I put in 136 and then it put in for 127. Anything that I did over 127, it puts it at 127. And I emailed them and they're like, no, there's no cap. So why is it doing the 127? But I'm just gonna take it off, go to each one and just take it off and just record the amount of money per day. Because
Well,
It's
Kara, there might be some benefit to keeping track of the number of notarizations, right?
I'm writing it down in my journal, but I just didn't. I'm just gonna take.
Right.
So hold on just a second. So your journal is not your bookkeeping. So when you
Right.
go at the end of the year and you get some tax professional, you can't hand them your journal and say, here, figure this out. You've got to have a report. And remember, there's publication 334 with the IRS that might, sometimes it works in our benefit, sometimes not. But if you're looking for some tax deductibility, you want to know how many notarizations you have, because that's basically going to end up being self-employment tax-free income for you with the number of notarizations that you're doing, right? So that might be beneficial down the road to keep track of this stuff.
Right.
And then
I don't know if you guys saw that Matt posted in the chat is, can you make it in two? Can you divide it so that it's, part of it's 127 and part of it's the rest of it?
I tried that, but it still cuts me off.
Okay.
I tried that doing separating it, but because it has on Notary Gadget, there's like 2 blocks where you can put one amount and another amount, but it still won't let me do more than that amount, more than 127.
Okay. I think that question is going to be between you and the software company, because I don't think we're
Right.
gonna be able
Yeah,
to-
I'm gonna have to talk to Sue Hope and see. I might just have to change to Notary Assist because I have to do this contract for a few more weeks.
yeah, definitely. Sue's always so open to those types of conversations. I think that's great. And then Kara, any other questions about that?
Do you have any other pointers on how to get more work or trying to get any other contract jobs during this slow period of time?
Yeah, I think that's a great conversation. So the first thing I would do is stop calling it a slow period of time. because I know the industry is shifting from the loan signings for sure, but many of us are seeing a huge uptick in volume because we've tapped into search engine optimization. We've got into the specialty work with escrow, or not escrow, estate planning documents and other specialties in there too. But you want to shift your mind out of slow. So we're not scrambling, and we don't want to make desperate decisions. It's still really important that we hold our value, because there are people out there who need our services still. Like, life went on way before interest rates were 2% or 3%, guys. This was a great business and a busy business before that. It is work. It looks a lot different now on the real estate side, but there's still these pockets of people who need us, our ideal customers. And now, Kara, I love the contract work. I fell in love with it, but very similar to kind of the situation you're in right now, I undersold myself. I made agreements because I was like, oh, I just want the steady paycheck. It's that employment mentality. I was like, I just want to know that I'm going to have $1,000 a month coming in no matter what. I'll figure out the rest of it. And what happened was that really quickly went out of balance, because while I was having my guaranteed money, I was having to turn down just 3 or 4 appointments a week that would have tripled my income had I not been obligated to that. So always get the full scope of what the duties are and build up your stack the value. Like, if they think the value is $50 for you to do that many notarizations, maybe find a way to show all the other things that you can possibly do, or the efficiency in which you do them, some way to show them that you're worth more than that. And you're not a $50 notary, you're a $150 notary, or a $200 notary, or $300 notary. I mean, that's a lot of notarizations there. But there are companies, there are attorneys out there that appreciate this kind of work. There's even escrow officers that don't even know this is an option. And I know this blows your mind, especially because there's so many, over the last 2 years, there's so much business, but there's still escrow officers that don't know there's notaries willing to come into the office for a flat rate or a per signing fee. And they'll just sit right in their conference room and do these types of appointments. So it always goes back to our basics, right? It's people and technology. You've got to cultivate relationships, talk to more people, identify who your ideal customer is, because with that clarity comes customers. When you know that I want to work with escrow officers that support home builders, that's really clear. And you can even dial that down and get more clear. If you want to work with estate planning attorneys that specialize in supporting DECA millionaires in this radius, that gets really clear. And when you start getting in their orbit, having those types of conversations, it just opens up more doors for you. Laura, do you have any other suggestions for getting more of this type of work?
I agree with everything that you've said. And I also want to just add this, is that we get what we focus on. And if we're focused on there's not enough work, it's slowing down, then that's what we'll see, right? We need to take our eyes off of that and focus on what we want, not what we think we see. Because I think that's what it takes to move us to see the opportunities. So the thing is, opportunities are all over the place. They're around us, but we might not see them if we're focused in the wrong direction. And then I don't know, Cara, did you see Patricia Bridges' chat comment that you need to be in batch mode for Gadget?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure you saw that. All right, that's all I got.
Thank you, Karen. Sparked a great
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, real quick, another announcement here too. Jim Allen, otherwise known as the Marketing Notary, you probably hear him on Clubhouse a lot. Really awesome expert on Google Business Profile. Guys, if you want more general or specialty notary work where you're counting on the public or the servants of the public to find you, then you've got to have a Google Business Profile course. He has 3 more classes coming up in July and August. You can find those dates on my website at notarycoach.com/courses and get registered for those. He usually has 15 to 20 people on the class. It's like over the shoulder training, step by step on how to optimize your Google Business Profile. That link is in the chat room for you. All right, Pamela's iPhone is in the house. Thanks for being here, Pamela. Would you like to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help?
Okay. Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks for being here. How can we help?
Well, I have a question. And it's not about signing. I'm trying to locate 2 notaries, and I've called the Secretary of State. Back in 1986 to 89, California State didn't require the commission number to be on the stamp. So I'm trying to see if these people were notaries during that time. And I called the Secretary of State. They called me back and they said, one of the clerks said, without commission number, there's no way they can look these people up. So I've been trying. I called the National Notary Association. They didn't know what to do. So I'm kind of like stuck.
Ooh, what an interesting question, Pamela. That has never been asked here. Laura, you're in California. What resources do you have?
Yeah, first of all, they started those commission numbers in 1992.
Right.
That's when they were required. And the Secretary of State is the only office. The only other way you would find them is, I don't know why you're looking for them, but you don't have a document they notarized. I mean, I don't know why you're trying to connect to these 2 particular ones. But when people ask me, they're looking for notaries, I ask them, well, do you have something they notarized?
Yes, I do.
And so
the reason
county have their county, their principal place of business.
it was Los Angeles County, the state of California.
So I'm wondering if the county, because you have to file your oath and bond at the primary place of business that ends up on your stamp, they might have information.
So you saying the LA County Register Office?
Yeah, if that's where, it might be the county clerk's office, maybe it's clerk registrar, a lot of them are combined.
Right.
But that's where a notary has to file their oath and bond, and that hasn't changed. So at the local level, they might be able to find something there. It depends on how advanced the county office is, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, the reason why
and they're pretty much technologically advanced, so you might have a shot there.
Okay, the reason why I'm looking for them is because we're going through probate court, and it's a big mess because a lot of forgery has taken place. And at the time the forgery took place, these 2 people notarized the deed. So our attorneys was asking us, could we get in contact? Since he knew I was a notary, could I look up these people more quicker?
Yeah.
So
All right. I think that's a great solution, is the county clerk. That's a good workaround.
okay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well, I'm sorry you're going
All
through.
right.
Yeah, thanks for bringing an
I
interest.
mean, it's going in our hand. It's looking good for us because we have all our documents and our proof and everything. It's just that the process.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Pamela. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Real quick, guys, I'll do my last announcement here too. If you have not yet heard about Notary Business Builder, it's the advanced notary mastermind with over 8 live instructors. We got Laura, me, Jen Neitzel, Sandra Long, Tyler Botsford, Zion Brock, Judy Lawrence, Sue Hope is all part of it. Sue and Judy both have live teaching classes that are going to be starting. Sue's going to be teaching the health of your business courses, bookkeeping, how Notary Assist can fit with that. But then also Judy Lawrence has adapted her World of Apostille masterclass to NBB members. So if you're at that next level, or if you're looking to get to that next level, her 6-week masterclass starts on July 21st. And we have special offers for anybody who joins the Notary Funnel Challenge. which is a daily email to help move you forward on your business. So if you're interested in any of that, just join the Notary Funnel Challenge at notarycoach.com/funnel. And of course, I will type that into the chat here right now, so you have it. And already we're getting great feedback on this Notary Funnel Challenge, guys. There's so many hats that we have to wear as a solopreneur, and it can be overwhelming. This challenge is just one thing that can move the needle on your business every single day. And we've already gotten amazing results and response from notaries around the country who's seeing progress in their business already. All right, Phil Shannon, always a pleasure to see you here. What's going on today?
I just want Laura to know that the band, the choir was warmed up and ready to sing happy birthday, but she must have been in a position she couldn't get to us because I know you were driving to your birthday dinner. So we were ready and willing and able and looking forward to it. But happy birthday. As you know, today, 5 minutes after Tuesday, Notary Titans, I will be there to discuss the services we provide to literally thousands of notaries across the country. So I know Bill's always good enough to put it in the chat. I tried to put in the chat, and I think Bill corrected me because I didn't know what that was. But it's always great to see everybody. I know, Laura, you just put out tickets to the Notary Symposium. So guys, I think those are coming out, as she probably already mentioned. I probably missed that part, but man, really looking forward to it. It's been an interesting journey. Is it 8 years now, Laura, Notary Symposium?
This will be our 7th.
7th, okay, 7th year. Yeah, fantastic. So thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you a few minutes after Tuesday Notary Titans. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Symposium. Guys, I am so excited about Notary Symposium. This one's going to blow your minds when you see the speakers and the presenters for this. And Laura, do you want to set the expectations?
Yeah. First of all, you're going to see some social media posts about ticket sales starting on Sunday, the 17th. On Friday, we're putting together our promotional video that will unveil our special speakers and topics. And as Bill said, I think it will blow your mind because it's not what you're seeing at all the other events, whether they're virtual or in person, or even the NNA conference. We've really taken a whole new focus that will help you become the person that matches your dream. So that's where we're going this year, and watch out for the announcements. And this Sunday will allow people to start getting their seats. So strap in. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome. All right, let's hit it up with Sid. Sid Marsh, great to see you. You want to unmute? Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
I'm in California, and I got a question about jurats. I've been doing this for about a year. I have about 700 signings under my belt. And at least over a dozen times, I have people say, I've never had to swear before. And I mean, it really happens a lot. And I'm wondering, am I doing something wrong, or is the previous notary doing something wrong?
Great question, Laura.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you, Sid.
Hey.
I haven't seen you in a while. I don't think I've seen you in person since the class.
That's true. That's very true. I've been busy.
700 signings under your belt. That is so fantastic. And to your question, it was the previous notary, and probably the single most common reason that notaries make a mistake with a jurat, whether they're new or they've been doing this for 30 years, is that they don't administer the oath or affirmation, which is part of your attestation. Right. That says subscribed and sworn before me. So if you're a notary, and I'm sure this is the choir and everybody on here is administering that oath or affirmation, but for the rest of the 4 million notaries, it's not happening. And that's why people look surprised and they're saying, nobody asked me to do this before. And so just let them know, well, first of all, let me give you the whole enchilada, right? Let me give you the whole service. And second of all, it is required. And third of all, if you do not give an oath or an affirmation, if you did not know, in California particularly, that is under civil penalties up to $750 for each time you didn't do it. So if something blows apart later, you're looking at some big money that can come up when somebody says, I was never administered that oath or affirmation.
Yeah, I've had several people that are real estate investors and have done this many times. And they've said, I've never had to do this. So, I mean, it happens a lot.
Hear it
We're
all
going to
the
do
time.
it today.
Okay, good. Then I'm doing the right thing.
You're
Yeah.
doing the right thing. Yay. And I
Okay,
hope the
well,
other 200 people on here, yay. Do the right thing.
Guys, this
Thank
is
you
why
very
it's
much.
so important. Yeah, thank you, Sid. This is why it's so important for us to know what we can do, what we can't do. Because even escrow officers that have been escrow officers for 30 years, notaries that have been notaries for 30 years, they don't deliver the oath. They don't even know they're supposed to, because in states like mine, there is no training. They're like, read your statute and go with it. And then the other notary or the escrow officer that's been there for 30 years before them just teaches them the way that they've been doing it. So there's a lot of misunderstandings about how this works. So stick to your guns and have some fun with it too, right? We don't have to.
I do.
We don't have to whip them and hit them and crack the ruler across their knuckles when they about the oath or anything, but we can have some fun with it.
Well, I usually have them trained. By the time I do the third jurat, they're already given the oath before I say anything.
Nice. Awesome.
Oh, and Sid, thanks for pointing that out. By the way, each certificate requires an oath. So if there are 3 or 4 different documents in your package that have a jurat, that means you should have administered the oath for each one because it's related to the statements in that specific document.
I've also heard, though, that you could have an oath at the beginning that covers the whole signing, and you just keep reminding them that they're under oath when you do a jurat. Is that
Well,
correct?
I would not recommend that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not an attorney, but I will tell you, I would not recommend doing that. I would never do that myself.
Okay, so each jurat do a separate oath.
It's for that document.
Right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sid. All right, we got a few more minutes here. Randy Ventures, I think we have time. I know you're in Washington. Want to unmute? Tell us how we can help.
I did a signing last week with the Chinese couple, and their IDs were all in English, and the signatures that they put on their IDs were some kind of symbol or scribble. And then all the documents that he signed was with a Chinese character. And the title company rejected them and said that I had to go back and have them all re-signed. Is there anything that says they have to be signed in English? Or that a signer has to sign in English if the document's in English?
Laura, we just talked about this. You want to take that one?
Well, the signer needs to sign with letters for notarization. All right, so their signature is what it is. And what I would have suggested is, could I see that signature using letters I can read myself as the notary? And that probably would have satisfied the lender as well. Because when it comes to notarization, even though their signature is what it is, I'm looking at their name, and that's how I identified them. But I was the only one at the table. And I think it's important to remember other people are handling this document after them. So if did they require for him to use English letters and after it or next to it?
No, they just said he needed to re-sign in English. So I went back and had him redo just the signature pages that he signed.
So I would use let him use his signature as it is, as it's on his ID, and then say, would you repeat that with English letters for me so that I can actually read that? And that way you've got both. And that would have probably prevented the documents from coming back.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with them signing twice in 2 different languages?
No, they've
Okay.
got their signature, but if their signature is in a foreign language using letters that we don't know what that means, then having it in English letters. And now I'm talking about, for notarization itself. The lender, of course, can say, I can't even tell what this is. I need something that's at least legible. And this is a little different than an illegible signature, right? So we just said earlier that an illegible signature is perfectly fine. That's their signature. And what I'm saying is, that Chinese signature is perfectly fine. However, somebody else has to handle it later in the case of a loan signing. And so having that, particularly for foreign language, having that repeated in English would have been helpful and probably would have prevented the issue.
Okay, so based on your last statement, I did some seller documents for some stuff that was in Hebrew. And the whole document was in Hebrew, and the lady translated what she thought the acknowledgement said. So I added my own loose acknowledgement to it, but her signature, I had her sign both.
Yeah.
She said she needed to sign in Hebrew, so I had her sign both in Hebrew and English. Was it a requirement for me to have her sign it in English, or because
As
it
a
was going to
notary,
Israel?
As a notary, was her ID in English?
Yes.
Then you needed to see letters that look like something
Okay.
that's on her ID, because I'm comparing the names, but I handle a lot of foreign documents, and that's the common practice, is to have them do it in the language that it needs to be done in. That's primary. But in addition, have them put the English part of it for those who have to handle it when they're not seeing the ID, right? You're the only one who's privy to that at the table. So there isn't a law that says they have to do that. If that's what you're looking for, Randy, we're really talking about the practice of getting these documents to be executed and useful down the road.
Okay, and then I had a follow-up question to the hybrid question from earlier. So I don't remember the lender. There's one lender that puts on a lot of documents, signed, sworn, and acknowledged. Do I need to add a loose jurat and a loose acknowledgement to that, or can I use that and just notate in my journal?
So we're always going to go back. You're going to hear me like a broken record. We go back to your statutes. Do you have a hybrid act? Do you have an act, notarial act called acknowledged, subscribed, and sworn? Or subscribed, sworn, and acknowledged? If you don't have
not
one.
specifically, no.
Okay, specifically. And if you don't have one, then that means that's not a certificate you can fill out. You're going to want to fill out 2 different certificates.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great questions, guys. That's going to wrap us up. We're 1 minute past the hour. Lisa, Laverne, Yasmin, if there's anything we can do to support you, feel free to hit us up via email or text message, of course. Laura, thank you for making some time for all of us. And for all of you who joined us on a Tuesday, thank you for growing yourself and your business on a Tuesday. We will see you same time, same place, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you, guys. Don't forget, Phil Shannon's call starts in about 3 minutes. All right, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.